It's like, well, what should you do if someone is harassing you? Well, you should fight back. Okay, what is that? What's the most effective way to fight back? Well, sometimes it's physical, but that's not necessarily for the best. Maybe it's through articulation. Maybe it's through analysis, right? You want to be sharp. You want to be able to decompose a problem. You want to be able to formulate an argument and a counter response. And maybe you want to be so good at that that people don't mess with you to begin with. And then you're a perfectly articulate counter monster and you never have to take your sword out. That's the place that you want to be. It's like people should know after 3 seconds of interacting with you that harassing you will be a seriously bad idea, and then you'll have a perfectly fine time with them. So, and that's part of, so there's some utility in meeting the devil in the underworld, right? Because maybe he's got something to teach you. That's certainly possible. And one of the things that you can be taught is that your normative morality, which is basically your harmlessness and your naivety masquerading as virtue, is completely insufficient to protect you in the world, especially against the sorts of things that you're talking about, which are tyranny. Tyrants will push until you push back. It's in their nature. They don't have internal controls. So they just push and push and push and push and push and push. Even kids do that. Like little kids do that all the time. They'll just push you until they hit a wall. They're actually quite happy when they hit a wall, because the last thing a child wants is a universe without walls. It terrifies them, right? They want to see, well, I'm in a swimming pool. There's an edge. They don't want to see, oh, this isn't a swimming pool. This is an ocean. I'm in the middle of an ocean. I'm going to drown. That's a terrible thing for children. And that's why they need discipline and structure, because it's consistency and predictability and routine and all the things that are extraordinarily helpful to them. Okay, so now think about that hierarchy that we talked about. So you're not in a story, you're in nested stories, and the nested stories ground themselves in action, in actual embodied action. So if you're going to be a good partner, maybe you help prepare the meals, and to help prepare the meals means you pick up a plate with your hand and you move it physically through space and you put it on the table. That's where it stops being an abstraction. So at the bottom of an ethical hierarchy of value are actions. Not things, that's the scientific world, but actions. And then you can label the actions with abstractions as you move up the hierarchy. So you're good at setting the table, so that means you're good at making dinner, so that means that you've got one element of being a good partner in place, and being a good partner is one element of being a good person. And so you're not so good at setting the table and you say, well, I'm not a good person. It's like, well, no, you should go down to the higher resolution levels of the hierarchy and start there. And that's what you do when you're arguing with people. But there's another thing that's really useful about conceptualizing the hierarchy in this manner. So I think what we'll do is we'll stop now for 10 minutes, and because I want to bring up this diagram. Because what I want to do next is, it's a bleak story at the moment, because the story is something like, you're going to lay out oversimplifications in the world and they're going to be prone to catastrophic error, and then you have to encounter what's terrifying in order to progress. And so what that means is that progression is always dependent on terror, something like that. And there's some truth in that, and that's why people don't progress. But it's not a sufficient truth, and I want to unpack that